Looking forward with Ryan Hughes.
Ryan Hughes.
It's up to Rhino to answer this challenge.
Your leader, Ryan Hughes, 105. Hughes on the inside. Hughes on the inside, though, trying to get a run at
Ryan
it.
Hughes has got a problem with the bike. He's trying to push it to the line.
We're back again, Big 49 Radio, and Ryan Hughes looking ahead, kicking ass, saying things that people don't want to hear and people want to hear. So let's get on it. Moto 1.
Moto 1. And you actually went to the gate today with a bike in hand. You know, you've been known to be talking in the pits, and all of a sudden the starting line goes, and you still make it to the
I'm
podium.
like, holy shit, we got to go. So maybe that's why, I start with a gel, maybe to spice me up a little bit. Get that head in the right place, get some carbs in me,
Okay. So it's the gels that do it for you?
The gels that do it. These mono gels are pretty damn good. So
okay,
I want to make sure that I'm on point.
Okay.
So I want to get some good juices in me, eh?
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
All right, we're good. Gas tank's ready.
Gas tank's full.
Full. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
High octane.
Both feet on the ground.
Both feet on the ground.
Both feet on the ground.
And you're not flat-footed on the pegs, right?
No, I mean, that's the thing is, a lot of people ask me 1 foot, 2 feet. Well, 1 foot, you're already off balance a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, some guys can get really good starts, but they're top guys. So you can't sometimes go there. But 1 foot, you're already off balance. So if you take off, boom, you're going to the side. And the start isn't the first turn. It's the first 5 feet. So if you're already at the first turn and you've missed the first 5 feet of a start, you mess up, then it doesn't matter where your mind's at. So I always tell my guys, nothing matters except this first 5 feet. Make this first 5 feet perfect. Master it. Make it, precise. Don't take your focus anywhere else. You master that, you'll get to the first turn where you want.
Okay.
You mess that up, you're going to get to the first turn where you don't want. So that's what it is both feet down in front of the foot pegs. Because once you go in front of the foot pegs, when that bike lurches off the line, you have something to hook your feet.
Yep.
So you don't slide back. Because most people will come off and their feet will go out wide. If their feet go out wide away from the foot pegs, well, then you can slide back. You slide back, the front end comes up. You pull the clutch in, you turn the gas off to see what time it is, and boom, bad start.
Yeah.
So if you keep both feet in front of the foot pegs, tight against the bike, even pigeon toe a little bit, you'll have hooks. So when you take off, boom, there's something to stop you. As we move up, you got your feet tight there, pigeon-toed, in between, in front of the foot pegs, your hips need to be rotated out. Because once I rotate my hips out, my core comes involved.
Okay.
So now I can't be pushed backwards. Impossible. If I tuck my butt a little bit, as you see even this, I'm going away from the direction of the motorcycle when I let that clutch out. So if my body's going away from the motorcycle when I let that clutch out and I pop it, I'm going to go backwards. There's no other way. And so again, front wheel, clutch in, gas off, done. So once you have your hips out, your core's involved, that'll allow your back to be straight. So then you have that balance. So when you take off, you're not taking off to the side because you're rounded.
Yep.
You're not going away from the motorcycle, so you have to pull the clutch in to keep the front end down or fix a mistake. And so then you can be a lot more precise. You can master that first 5 feet. Now, with that, if I take myself and put myself right up against the handlebars and I let that clutch out, there's only one way for me to go, and that's a little bit backwards. But if I bring myself back a little bit, and then right when I let that clutch out, boom, my upper body comes forward, the direction of the motorcycle. I'm initiating what's going to be happening. Well, then I can be one with that motorcycle. I'm not going to have to fix a mistake. Feet in front of the foot pegs, toes turned in, tight, hips rotated out, back up, back straight, elbows up, turn your hands out a little bit, because the more my elbows are out, the more I have room to hit this person, knock this person without my handlebars hitting. So if I get close to somebody, I'm going to get my elbow in there and not drop my elbow, ever.
Yep.
I'm going to push my elbow in there so then I can push off them with my elbow and not get my handlebars hooked or get hooked under my arm, right? Then that comes to the upper body coming forward. And right when you come forward, boom, you want to look up. You don't want to look down because there could be a long rut. So that long rut out of the gate is kind of like a balance beam. You don't want to look at your feet, you'll fall off. You want to look up at it, then it's no problem. So it's the same thing with the long rut. You want to almost look at the end of it. So if you can master those points, well, then you'll get a damn good start like I am right now.
So and you are getting a good start. So here's my other question on that. At what age do you start teaching these things? Because there's a context to this, as far as a lot of people will jump in middle of this show and they'll just hear you talking about the starts, and they're not going to understand, like, when do I teach my kid how to start like this?
Well, my thing is I teach the kids right away, instantly.
What's an age though? What's a good age?
If we're gonna practice starts, that age. You know what I mean?
Okay, so are you talking like 6, 7?
Yeah, 6, 7, 10, 5. You know,
Okay.
it doesn't matter as long as you're starting from a starting gate. Well, you need to start knowing what the perfect technique is. Now, is that 5-year-old, 6-year-old, 7-year-old, 8-year-old beginner going to master it? No. So the thing you do is you teach, and then you allow. Then you teach and you allow. You teach, you allow, teach, allow, teach, allow, teach, allow. Then after a while, all that teaching and all that allowing will make them start using perfect technique.
Okay.
The first time I teach and I allow, there could be only one thing: his hips, or his feet, or whatever.
Okay.
And everything else is messed up. Then the next time, a little bit more. The next time, a little bit more. Next time, a little bit more. Next time. Everybody's different. But then after a while, you have someone that's, a master class in starting.
Okay.
And so that's a Vince Freeze that I taught. That's a Christian Craig. That's a Dean Wilson. That's a Eli Tomac. That's an every single person that's starting the way that they're starting right now. Feet in front of the foot pegs, toes turned in, hips out, back straight. Jorge Prado coming forward as he lets the gas out or clutch out. Well, I taught him.
Okay.
Bar none. Go back 2010, 2011. I have a DVD out of that starting technique, and I've talked about it many times on podcasts, my social media, everything. So that's the thing, is you just have to be, when you're a good coach, you just have to regurgitate and not expect it to taste good, meaning that you're going to get all these results.
Okay.
It's going to taste like shit for a while because they're going to make mistakes. They're not going to know. They're not going to feel comfortable. They're too young. They're too, inexperienced.
Okay.
So once all these things come together, then all that stuff that you said starts to taste good.
So when you're doing a young kid, like you have a younger kid, at what age do you really start noticing that the lessons take hold? Is it better to look at them from a younger side? Like, hey, first time you get on a bike and you want to start from the starting line and you're 5, we're going to do this? Or is it better to say, I'm going to wait till you're 8 or 9?
I guess starts and things like that, I would say, I guess it's kind of fine line there, because for me, I would rather teach somebody that doesn't know shit. Hey, I've never started before. Perfect. So you have no bad habits. You don't know any difference. Hey, I want to learn a rotor motor, ride a motorcycle. I've never ridden before. Perfect. So now you don't have bad habits. If I teach you how to ride a motorcycle on your toes, hips out, back straight, and we work on that for a day, you'll never go away from that because that's the only thing you know.
Yep.
See, the problem is that when we come to motocross, we buy a motorcycle.
Yep.
We get on the track and we go. We have no idea how to ride. No idea. Nobody tells us none of this. Jumping on a big bike, there's jumps, there's ruts, there's out in the hills, all these things. And if you don't know how to do something, and there's a consequence in front of it, meaning high injury or death, you're going to get flat-footed. You're going to round your butt, tuck your butt, and round your back. What is that? That's a fear posture. That's a fetal position. Is, oh shit, what's going to happen? So once you start riding because you don't know how, and you start getting better because it's going to happen naturally if you do something all the time and something that you love. Well, this technique is going to be adopted in you, because I go look at all these other sports, and all these other sports, people have perfect posture, position.
Yeah.
But you go to motocross, and it's complete opposite. Flat-footed, butt tucked, back rounded, this and that. And I like, why does that happen? Why does this happen? And I started thinking about it. I'm like, because most people get on motorcycles with no coaching. No coaching. So you're learning to ride incorrectly because you just have had no coaching, and you're starting to get faster and faster. There's such a consequence in it, so you're going to get into this kind of scared fetal protective position, and that's that. Because I've taught people, even women, that have never ridden before, and I put them on the bike and put them in this position, and we work on it. They never go away from it. You never see a butt tuck. You never see a background. You never see this because they don't know any different. You understand?
Yeah.
And then they start feeling so comfortable that way. So that's the whole thing, is like why the sport kind of a lot of people that get in it have this bad positioning. Then you have to reteach them. And when you have to reteach somebody, 500 reps to teach you one way, 5,000 reps to reteach you. So when you can get someone that's very, green at it, maybe never ridden before, well, then it's very easy to teach this technique like instantly.
So the younger, the better is what you're saying.
They're less experienced.
Less experienced, the better.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes. Now, somebody that is willing to change, somebody that has the ability to kind of get out of their comfort zone, well, they can change instantly. I've had a lot of riders just overnight, boom. I've had a lot of riders just take so much time to change. And it's just like, dude, you know what I mean? And so it's again, it's called motocross. And there's nothing 100% about it except the perfect technique that you need to have. But are you going to be in that position 100% of the time? No, not at all. And if you expect to be in that, then you're probably going to be riding too cautious, too perfect, and be slow, right? And so, a lot of people, they have pictures. Oh, look at Jet's foot. Oh, look at Jet's. Yeah, but it's a transition. It's a picture. It's 1 millisecond. It's that transition from maybe braking to shifting to braking, or he left his foot on the brake because there's a right turn and then another right turn right after.
Yeah.
Right? He came out of the corner and the bike went sideways, so he tucked a little bit to come back out into that perfect position. But that picture got taken right when that transition. Right?
Yeah.
And so that is where, it is. There's 100% the right way, but there's a lot of transition in there that you can't have that all the time. And then teaching wise, it depends on the person. And yes, it's easier sometimes when you're very inexperienced, but you only can teach so much. So that's the thing, is I can teach you, if someone comes to me that's never ridden before, I'll go, look, I'm going to teach you 3 things, and 3 things only. 3 things only. And that is your feet, that is your hips, and that is your back. You master those 3 things, you come back to me. But I can't teach you anything more than that until you master those 3 things, or I'm just going to confuse you. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So let's get the roots of it in, and then come back. And once you, if you can master these 3 things, you will progress so fast compared to the other person that doesn't know these things. So master these things, then come back to me, and we'll work on the next.
Okay.
1 step at a time.
Now, there's a question out there about context and when you. Sometimes people come in to a rough lesson in life, and they don't necessarily understand the context of that rough lesson. They don't understand the beginning outcomes. And I think it's up to us as a platform to give people an overall context. Like, there's so many good things about learning how to ride a motorcycle at a young age. First of all, you become a better driver. You become more alert. You're just a more performance-capable person because your motor skills are honed a little bit better because you've been on a dirt bike. What is your, as far as kids are concerned, if a child wants to learn how to ride a dirt bike, what do you see the overall benefits of it versus non-benefits? Because some kids think that they're going to go pro and they're not.
Yeah, and that's where, I've kind of, a couple of my videos came out and maybe got or understood the wrong way.
Okay.
Of like one of them that just came out just said that, hey, you got to be crazy to put your kid in the sport. The context behind that is you have to be crazy to kind of put your kid in the sport when you're knowing that there's nothing for your kid until you get to this high level to make a salary. Before that, there's nothing for them. And so if you do not make it to that high level, you've done a very dangerous, expensive hobby. So now if you're going to take this sport and just go, hey, we just want to have fun with it, keep the bike stock, not chase a bunch of races, just do races that we want, do it when we want to have fun, then congratulations. Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
But if you think you're going to get into the sport and make something out of it, then you're kind of crazy. The writing's on the wall. So that's what I was getting at, because I know a number of amateur pros right now that after about 3 races into the season next year, if they don't do anything, they're done. The dad pulls the plug.
Yep.
And they've been going after it for like 15 years, spending probably, their families have spent easy over $1 million.
Yeah.
Easy.
Oh.
And they're done. They have to go get a job.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm talking about, being crazy, kind of putting your kid in the sport when you're knowing that there's nothing. Now, if I put my kid in baseball, well, shit, I know that there's some big call. You can get a college degree. He can get this at AAA. There's a big salary. There's insurance. There's retirement. There's so much for them, even if they aren't even known.
Even if they're in minor league ball.
Even if they're not even known.
Yeah.
But in motocross, it's like it's a make or break thing. And so that's where I was getting at, and people maybe misunderstood me on that point, that you got to be crazy to put your kid in motocross. You got to be crazy to put your kid in motocross if you are expecting him to make something out of it.
Yeah.
If you're putting your kid in motocross because it's just fun and you keep it fun, then bitchin'. Now, if your kid shows potential, well then, yeah, you have to go for it. But that's all I was getting at, kind of, is that point, because I didn't create the sport. I'm not the ruler of the sport. Just sometimes I'm the one that just speaks up for the sport, and I get a lot of backlash for it. I get a lot of praise for it, but I get backlash too because nobody wants to hear about their baby being talked about. You know, because they want to protect their baby, or they're blinded by their baby.
So,
you know what I mean? It's like a mother thinking their daughter or their kid does nothing wrong, but the little fucker is out of control and causes so much chaos.
So being clear-eyed about this, when as a parent do you pull the plug?
I would say, well, if your kid's not even winning the novice class, not even winning the intermediate class, I would pull the plug.
Okay.
You know,
all right.
If your kid's not even winning the intermediate class, and you know, and you're going to the pro class, and he's getting 12th, you know, in the amateur ranks, 12th in the amateur ranks, 12th amateur pro, I would pull the plug.
Okay.
I'd be like, dude, we're just gonna do this shit for fun, because you're gonna make me go broke, and I'm not gonna watch you possibly get injured racing for nothing.
Yeah.
Racing for nothing. You know, so that's all I get, and I'm sorry that I'm so blunt. I'm sorry that I'm so in your face, but maybe this needs to happen. You know, this would happen with the neck brace. I was so in everybody's face that everybody had a problem with me. Well, who was right?
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
And it's because I cared about the sport and I was trying to protect people. Same thing with this. I care about the sport and I'm trying to not protect people, but just kind of educate them. Let them see another side of it, hear another side. Yes, I'll get backlash. Yes, I'll probably be banned from things and whatever. But damn it, I care about the sport. You know what I mean? I don't care about who's getting rich off the damn sport. I care about all the people in it, and I want to try to guide them the right way, show them the right things, let them think a different way, see a different way. And I'll take the blunt for everybody. No stress, man.
Okay.
No stress. You know, I'm already... I don't give two shits anymore, man. There's so much stuff that's happening in my life that I don't even trust anybody anymore. You know what I mean? It's insane, man. And people, you know, like I'm going through something right now that it's just like, hey, dude, I don't even know, man. It's just life zapping, like energy zapping, breath zapping, just how somebody could do this to you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you have to be able to see the reason why. You have to take accountability for making a decision to be involved with this person. You have to also look at who's being hurt here. Is it really you, or is it them that has to be living with this the rest of their life? You know what I mean? Can you just look at it and say, this was an experience, this was a lesson, but not poor me? What did I do? How did I let myself get into it? How did I let someone lie to me, cheat from me, whatever? Well, that's not the case. Yeah, that's them. That's them. As long as you have shown up the best year of your ability, then that's all you can do, and you should be able to wipe your hands, learn that lesson, close that door, and move on.
Got it.
You know, handle it with maturity, meaning not cause more residue. Causing more residue, more sweeping up.
Yep.
Right? The more you can be mature about it and understand it when something very drastic or devastating happens in your life, the less residue you're going to have to clean up, the more you're going to learn from it, and the easier the next door is going to swing open. And the less bleeding you're going to do on the next person or next situation or next, whatever it is.
For a lot of these kids, you know, they put their heart and their soul into racing.
Yeah.
And it's got to be a tough day when mom and dad have to come in the door and go, hey, you got to pull the plug on your hobby or your passion. You know, what you're doing. And I mean, as you get older, obviously in relationships, we all have relationships in our lives. They go south or forward or however they handle. You're also invested in that, just like a kid on the track would be invested in it. And so it's a good lesson to know when to cut and run and when to stay around.
Yeah, you need to cut your losses when you can, and then, you know, or just kind of reorganize, meaning that, hey, let's just do these races, let's go here, and let's not try to
we just
break the bank to make a dream that's not happening happen.
We just smoked through Moto 1.
Perfect.
Moto 1 is done.
Done.
So
all right, I like it.
When we come back into Moto 2, I wanted to talk to you about this year's Supercross season and what's going on as far as on the factory side. I'm hearing a lot of grumblings, not a lot, just a little bit of grumblings about, is the Ducati 450 going to make it in? Is what's happening? So we'll talk about that next break.
Perfect.
It's Big 49.
Moto number 2. I had to get something to eat right now.
Wow.
A little Monobar. Today's big business, man.
Wow.
I'm not gonna fade at the end of the.
Is that high
end of the
octane?
race. High octane. I'm not gonna fade at the end of the race.
Okay.
I'm not fading, so I'm ready.
That holds you good all the way through a moto. So
All the way through. You won't have to see me eat again.
a 20-minute moto, you can
Easy.
handle that.
Yeah, 1 bar a little bit before.
Okay.
A gel right on the line.
All right.
Bam, your money.
All right.
Money Mayweather, baby.
And you're not going to feel boggy or
Nah, because there's not any sugar in it. There's not any gluten in it. There's not any processed bullshit in it. Full, clean, 100%, race gas, because
Okay.
that's all we kind of put in our stuff. Because, again, it's not the bike that wins. It's you that wins.
Yeah.
It's not all the lubricants and the gas and everything you put in your bike. It's the gasoline you put in yourself so you can ride this motorcycle to your true potential.
Okay.
If your bike is ready to go in factory edition and this and that, but you're bogging, sputtering, and cutting out because you ate McDonald's and had a Gatorade and ate some candy and
Pump gas.
hot dogs and beer and all that, well, then shit, man.
Yeah.
There you go.
That's bad pump gas.
You got bad pump gas.
That's really bad pump gas. Speaking of bad pump gas, we are now rapidly approaching the 2025 Supercross season. And there's been a lot of shifting around. I mean, we've heard that KTM, Husqvarna, Gas, they're in a receivership right now for bankruptcy at the moment. So I think it was the Pierre Group that owns them.
Yeah.
They're trying to figure out how to restructure that whole mess. Then you've got Ducati came out with a 450 that's going to debut this year. I don't think it's going to be early. I think it's going to be mid Supercross season. I think they're bringing in the Ducati.
Okay.
Then you've got 450 from Triumph that's debuting this year. That apparently, from what I've heard, I have some inside scoop on the Triumph side. It's an amazing bike.
Yeah.
I didn't know if you've talked to Austin about his adventures on Triumph.
No, I haven't really talked to him much lately, just because, again, he's back east doing a different program and this and that, and I don't step on people's feet, and
I get that.
Whatever's happened. But yeah, he likes the bike. The bike's good, and people have said that already. So I'd imagine the next generation of bike, which is now the 450, is going to have these little fixes, these little tune-ups, these little changes, these little bits of development and intelligence, I guess, from learning where the weak parts and where the strong parts of this motorcycle is. So I would think that this next 450 is going to probably be better right out of off the showroom floor than the 250 is, because now they've had a few years to upgrade it, fix it, and find out where the 250 went wrong.
Okay.
So I think, that's good. And then the Ducati, I would imagine they're going to bring out a badass bike. But it all takes time. It all takes time, and you can't bring a bike in until you have 500 units or something in the United States.
Yeah.
So I think that's the thing that's going to hold them up too from being straight in, is that you got to have like 500 units or something in the States to be sold. I think that's the rule. I don't know.
Yes.
And then so that could be, like I say, some of the hurdle of why they're not starting the season in the get-go.
Yeah, I have a friend of mine who just got in with Ducati on the sales side.
Okay.
And he was explaining to me about, how many units, where they're placing them. You're not going to see a lot of those bikes, believe it or not, in California. They're not treating California as a place that they're looking at. They're looking more southeastern portion of the United States. So they're really saturated.
Well, I'm sure
dealers.
they're probably looking at where their street bikes are big or where their brand is big.
Yep.
And I would imagine more back east they'd be a bigger brand, bigger name than maybe West Coast.
Okay.
I don't know. I would think that.
And the other rumor I heard, which was, we heard a rumor that Ken Roczen was, toying around thinking about going to Ducati. He actually re-signed with Suzuki.
Yeah.
He re-signed, said, I'm sticking with Suzuki. I'm sticking with Big Yellow.
Oh, nice. Okay. Well, I would, that's a good thing. There's no reason to jump ship when things are good. And I'm sure Suzuki has probably given him an amazing offer for something. And maybe this next this next contract he's having is meaning Suzuki's going to come out with a new bike, and maybe it'll be a Ken Roczen edition, and maybe he gets a percentage of every bike that's sold, blah, blah, blah. So there's a lot of things in there that he could work because Suzuki's not having to pay a bunch of riders or have anybody really, so they can just say, hey, we're going to dump this all on you and kind of start over again. And so, I'm sure he's looked at, every avenue there is of switching, going to Ducati or staying with Suzuki, and what can you guys do for me?
Yep.
And so I could, if I was Ken, that's probably what I would do is like, okay, hey, look, I'm going to stick with you guys, but I want to make sure that next year I'll sign a 2-year deal, and I'm sure next year's coming out with a brand new bike. And I want to have an addition, like a Ken Roczen edition where I make a percentage off every bike.
Okay.
And then I'll stay with you. You know what
Got
I'm saying?
it. Do you think the Suzuki's gonna get rid of the Kickstarter?
Well, I think on Kenny's bike, the Kickstarter's gone. Yeah, so the next generation, that Kickstarter will be gone. You know what I mean? Or maybe they have one on the hand or something, or a thumb one.
I just think it's funny because he had that marketing thing he did with Kickstart Kenny for a while there, and it was like a big deal for him. And I know it held him up at a few races.
Oh yeah, he sat there and kicked that damn thing for a long time. But yeah. That's a decision he made, so he had to live with it. And, he played it right by making kind of a joke with it, like Kickstart Kenny. I mean, it's a good thing his name wasn't, Johnny or something, Kickstart Johnny. Just Kickstart Kenny was perfect, right? So,
perfect.
Yeah, I mean, jump on opportunities when you can, even if it's like a logo, even if it's a saying, things like that. So,
yeah. As a rider, because you rode in the Kickstart days.
Yeah.
You rode when kickstarting was everything.
Oof.
Did you hate it?
Oh, the 500?
Yeah, I'm just saying. Like, did you hate it? Like,
well, you never knew. You didn't know.
Yeah, you didn't know.
You didn't know. You didn't know what the other side was because in the beginning, just like when the electric starts come out, I say, shit. Damn old, pussy has to have an electric start. But then once I started doing schools and I started riding, I say, hey, I need a bike to borrow, and someone said, use mine. I'm like, Nana has a Kickstarter. Give me some bourbon.
I want a button.
I want a button. So, but yeah, once you're in the, before the push button came out, you had no idea that was a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
But now it's a pain in the ass. And, it was always a pain in the ass to kickstart a 500.
Yeah.
Always a pain in the ass to kickstart the first generation kind of 4-strokes. Holy cow, man. You know what I mean?
Top dead center.
Yeah. So there was so many different things. But now, we've progressed. We went to, something much more easier, something much more consistent.
Yeah.
Nobody's breaking feet. Nobody's hurting,
True.
shins and stuff.
Were there any lessons to be learned back then in the 500 days when you had to get that thing to top dead center before you'd follow through on it?
Patience. Patience. Be very patient. You can't kick it. You gotta. It's like priming up a woman. You know what I mean?
Yep.
You gotta get that. Okay, now boom.
Okay. It's not like a 125 where you just jump in.
Yeah. It's like you can't be. It's like a 16-year-old with a woman. Or a 45-year-old with a woman, 50-year-old with a woman. Like, okay, hold on, let me get you top dead center, baby.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Little 16-year-olds come in there, don't even know where he's putting it. Just,
yeah. 16-year-old, you just kick it and go.
He don't even care. That thing go anywhere.
Yeah.
50-year-olds like, hold on, right?
Top dead center.
There. Okay.
That's actually funny. It's a great analogy, by the way.
Yeah.
I just think about the young riders now. They're growing up and they don't have those lessons. And there were certain lessons that you had to learn on the track back in the kickstart days when it came to how you manage your motorcycle, how you manage your clutch, how you manage your transmission time. Because stalling killed your race.
Yeah, you had to be very careful with the stalling. You know what I mean? That's why the big thing was finger on the clutch, kind of.
Yep.
And that's where Bubba was always probably the best rider we've ever seen, but he stalled more than I've ever seen.
Yep.
But because he never rode with a finger on the clutch.
Okay.
So he'd stall it. And so, that's kind of one thing of having a finger on the clutch because you can stop that right away. And because even just that is too long. But if it's there, boom, 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 instead of going like that.
Yeah.
Hey, just that compared to that is a stall.
When you mentioned the clutch, a lot of manufacturers right now are going straight hydraulic clutch designs. What are your thoughts on the hydraulic clutch versus the cable clutch?
The hydraulic clutch, of course, is going to be an easier pull, so to speak. Does it have the feel? I don't know, and that's why Eli still rides a cable.
Yeah.
And same with Hayden. Hayden does cable too, I think.
Yep.
And so I think there's a better feel with the cable. but the hydraulic, of course, is just easy. It never fades, so to speak.
Yeah.
And but when it gets super, super hot, there's really no adjusting it. So does it have an effect on the engine type of thing? Yeah. So again, it's kind of it's rider preference. One of the best riders to ever put their leg over a bike still prefers a cable.
Yeah.
One of the best riders that's coming through the ranks right now, Hayden, prefers a cable. Other people like the
Well, Lawrence Brothers.
they like the
Lawrence Brothers.
hydraulic.
Yeah, they're on hydraulic.
the hydraulic. But if you look at Eli, he uses a clutch a lot.
Yes.
So maybe that cable is better because you can adjust it. Hayden's very aggressive too. The Lawrence brothers, they're not so aggressive, more so maybe their clutch doesn't have to fade. They don't have to adjust it as much. So that's just where they're at. And, everybody's different. Maybe, Honda and all these things, like, nah, you're not going to have a cable. We don't sell cables. And I don't think Team Yamaha would allow that. Team Yamaha. But Star Yamaha, they can do whatever they want. Because they're not factory. And that was some of the problem with the Yamaha factory is that they would never use any aftermarket anything.
Okay.
Only this because of
Factory.
And that's when that team wasn't doing the greatest. And once they went to Star, boom, they took off because now Star could use any aftermarket thing they want.
So they're using like Hansen clutches and
I would imagine.
Yeah.
I'd imagine.
Yeah.
But they can do whatever they want because they're not under this umbrella of we have to keep it OEM looking because we're factory Yamaha. We're factory Yamaha, but under somebody else's tent.
So, being that factory issue versus an offshoot of a like Star situation, did you prefer riding for private teams versus factory, or did you prefer riding on the factory team?
I always liked the factory team. You know what I mean? 100%. I always liked the factory team because everything. But again, we didn't have the Star. That's a different dynamic there. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Yes, I had Pro Circuit, but again, we could. It's 250F or it was 125, so it wasn't like you got all the factory parts. I had a factory bike when I was on Pro Circuit, but it wasn't like my factory 250 when I got on Team Kawasaki.
Okay.
And nothing was like HRC when I was HRC in Europe. They made me a quick turning throttle because my wrist doesn't move that much. Where do you want your clutches? This, farther, smoother, this, that, your brake lever, your clutch lever, just whatever you want.
It was perfect.
Whatever you want, they make, And so that was, you can't ever deny that. That's a pretty good rabbit in your pocket, I guess, to have.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just thinking in terms of young riders and what they aspire to and the style of riding. Does that ever inhibit you to have different controls or different things when you're trying to teach these lessons? Or is it, you're young, one size fits all, you don't really need anything?
The thing is I see so many people kind of get some aftermarket stuff, and then the clutches doesn't engage the same. That comes and hits their finger. Just weird stuff. The brake pedal, the shift. It's like stock is best, man.
Okay.
I hate to say it, but it kind of is. It's just where everything's measured and everything, and it just, to me, it always just worked better.
Okay.
Right? Okay, yeah, we got factory this and factory that, but just, I'm not knocking aftermarket stuff, but sometimes these aftermarket, controls and stuff aren't measured maybe as well, or they have some trick to them that now has a problem of hitting your fingers and blah, 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 And the other thing, too, is people, their controls are so messy. They're flopping all over the place, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They have a bunch of play in there. The lever's bent, right?
Yeah, well,
the brake lever's down. Just all these things. So it's like, that's the thing is I always teach. I go, the biggest thing and the number one thing you need to have is that your controls are precise, because that's where everything's coming from is your controls. Your throttle, your clutch, your brake, your everything. If these are bouncing, too much play, too much, sticky, hard, too low, well, then everything's going to be affected from there.
Yeah.
Make sure your controls are precise and perfect before your bike looks bitchin' and before this and that, because that's where everything's coming from, is that first initial ingredient is my throttle, my clutch, or my brake, my clutch, my brake, my shifter, right?
Yep.
That's where everything's coming from. So the more precise and the better feeling that is, well, the better feel and the more precision you're going to have using them.
Yep.
And so that's what I was always very, very, very picky on, was my controls being just perfect, my grips, everything. Just everything had to feel smooth.
Okay.
So
That makes
Those
sense.
two, yeah.
Guess what you did? You just smoked through moto number 2.
good thing I had food in my belly.
Yep. Top of the box, by the way.
Top of the box.
When we come back, let's hit on this next season of Supercross, because there's some stuff that may be kind of interesting with the thinning out of the field and these whole bankruptcies and this and that and the other. So let's talk about that.
Yep.
It's Big 49.
Big 49.
Go.
Now I need a drink. Moto number 3.
Okay.
If I don't take a drink, then I could dehydrate. I could get tired. I could get a cotton mouth, and be big problems.
Okay. So what do you recommend for having a drink on the line?
Well, what I would do is I should be completely hydrated by the time I got to the line.
Okay.
So I'm not trying to quench my thirst. What I'm doing is maybe wet my whistle.
Yep.
But what I would do is probably 8 ounces of water
Okay.
and like a scoop or 2 of carb fuel. Right? It's carb fuel, so it's 100% complex carbohydrates.
Yep.
Nothing else. So again, a lot of glucose. Every muscle needs glucose to work at its optimum. Your brain's a muscle.
Yes, it is.
So every time you take glucose, a sip of it, a swig of it, or whatever, it's like a little bit of a pick me up, So, that's what I do. Yes, our gel's another thing to take a gel, but if it's a hot day, maybe that last little bit, 8 ounces, a scoop of carb fuel, just to have that little kind of pick me up right before you take off, for that clarity, and your muscles getting the fuel that they need. So that's what I would do, but not like I'm down in a protein shake or anything like that. It's for actually the last sip or last drink I take on the line is more for performance wise, or just I want to wet my whistle.
Got it.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to be
No.
dry when you're out there.
No,
for
I mean
20
really,
minutes.
there's a rule of thumb to be the last food you should put in your belly is 3 hours before competition, before physical activity. So then all the blood isn't into your stomach trying to digest this food, because your body's a mechanism. It's going to digest food before it gives you energy to go ride a motorcycle.
Yep.
Right? So you don't want all this food to be sitting in your stomach, that blood to be down there, the body to be digesting stuff when you're trying to ride at your optimum. Right?
Got it.
And so that's the rule of thumb. But in motocross, you only have like an hour. So in between motos and stuff, you have to make sure that you're eating right, small, making sure you're getting enough, stuff. You shouldn't be depleted by them, because you've already filled the tanks beforehand with the food and things like that. So
Got it.
my thing was to try to get hydration in me as quick as I could. So I would make my drinks. I'd make my protein shake. I'd have my, my hydration fuel. I'd have my bar, my gel, whatever it is, all ready. So right when I came back from the line or from the race, boom, I jumped on my bicycle, my spinner,
Yep.
and I just spun slowly.
Okay.
And as I'm spinning, cooling down like that, because it's better to take an active recovery than a static recovery, especially when you're running at these levels, heart rates and stuff like that, an active recovery until I stop sweating. But I'd be drinking and doing my stuff while I'm on there and not waiting. First thing, bam,
Okay.
instantly be trying to get that stuff as quick as I could back in my system. Then once I got off the spinner, drink stuff, then I would maybe do stretch and I'd lay down a little bit. Then I might find out, okay, now I'm hungry. Because you're never coming off the line hungry, or you're coming out of the race hungry.
Yeah.
It takes time for that, all the adrenaline to go down and this, and then be like, okay, yeah, I do need something, right? So that's kind of was my rule of thumb.
Well, the A1 is going to start late this year.
Is it?
They're not normally. It's like 6th this year.
Yeah.
It's the 11th.
Okay.
So they're moving it about a week out.
Okay.
From where it normally is. I don't know the behind the scenes information on this, because the people at Feld Entertainment haven't told me, but I can only imagine that with KTM Husqvarna gas being thinned down as they have, there's a lot less money being thrown at the pit area / at the
Yeah.
factory ride side. So I'm just curious, do you think that this makes a new hole or a new opening for the privateers to have more of a placement?
I don't know, because I don't think you're going to lose riders. Like Mookie isn't retiring, Christian Craig isn't retiring,
Okay.
Hampshire is not retiring, Barsh is not retiring. You know, there's nobody that was on the KTM Husqvarna gas that's retiring. That's saying, hey, I'm done. They're just kind of moving around a little bit, or just going to gas. You know, because I don't think Husqvarna is going to be there.
Yeah.
Personally. I think they're done.
Yeah.
They're out.
They're out.
They're out. Gas is there because they have Rockstar. They have something. I hear the only reason KTM is racing because they have Red Bull.
Okay.
And that's it. So, yeah, it'll be less in the field from manufacturer, but I don't think you can see less in the field of rider-wise because nobody's going anywhere. They're just kind of switching around a little bit.
And Monster also trimmed a massive amount.
Oh, yeah.
On
I
the
heard
sport.
30%. Or I took, they took, all the riders that had helmets, Monster helmets, gone. Anybody that was sponsored by them, they gave them a deal and said, if you don't take this deal, that's it. And that's coming from Mitch Payton.
Wow.
Saying they offered me a deal and said, if you don't take it, then we're done. That's all we have to offer. Because their stock went down 30%. Think of 30% on a $1 billion company, man. Poof, right? So you're going to start trimming some fat. And I think a lot of people are going to start feeling this, because everybody on Instagram and everybody around wants everybody to think that they're doing so good and life is so good and they can buy everything and go anywhere, but bullshit. Everybody's feeling this crunch.
Yeah.
Everybody is feeling this crunch, and I don't feel it's going to get better anytime soon.
So
I think Trump and Elon are up to something.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, how good is Elon with all these so-called rockets and everything, right?
Well, it's interesting,
because now look at all these drones.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, so I saw somebody on Joe Rogan or whatever, he said these things have been happening for 3 years. Okay, that's cool. 3 years. Well, maybe you don't think Trump and Elon have been in talks for 3 years? Because for me, it's kind of, you got to be kind of a little bit worried, a little bit when you got the most powerful man on earth, Trump, the richest man on earth,
Elon,
and probably the most powerful names on earth, Kennedy, all together.
Yeah.
You
At
know?
the same time, I'm not going to be against what Kennedy's for.
Oh, hell no. I applaud these guys.
Yeah.
Were they the best of the choices we had? 100%. Do they have great ideas and things to trim the fat and clean stuff up and put people down and all? Yes, 100%. But there's always, this world doesn't work one way.
No.
There's two sides to everything, and it won't work any other way. There will not work any other way if you don't have two sides, if it doesn't have something to have any contrast to it.
Yin and the yang.
Has to. No other way to do it. And so that's what it needs. And so there will be, it's not going to be all day, bunny rabbits and daisies. There's going to be something going on, and maybe they have bigger plans than anybody ever knows of dictatorship, taking over the world.
I'm thinking in terms of for what you stand for with the clean diet and getting the pesticides and getting out the garbage and just getting all that handled. Kennedy's plan.
No, I mean, dude, I applaud him 100% for doing that. That's what's needed forever. I applaud Trump for just putting down these lines. Bam. I applaud Elon too. But these are human beings.
True.
There's pride.
They're fallible.
There's pride and there's ego.
Yeah.
So, baby,
there's.
I don't want to ever vote again. To be a dictatorship.
Well, I don't think you're going to change the Constitution of the United States. I mean, that's a strong
if there's
pull.
an outside invasion,
yeah, I mean,
the whole world has to come together, right?
Yeah.
The whole world needs to come together. What do they want? They want one. They want one world. They want one world government. They've said it for years.
I don't want one world government.
No. But this elites or whatever the hell they are. They've talked about it and talked about it and talked about it and talked about it. The only way to get that is to have an outside invasion that the whole world needs to come together because we're getting invaded by something else.
Do you think? Hold on here, because this is a motocross show. Do you think the aliens are riding motocross?
Hell yeah. They're riding those drones, baby.
They're riding the drones. They're riding the drones. All right. So the aliens ride motocross. That explains the Eli Tomacs of the world. He's part alien.
Yeah,
so
they're riding the drones, baby. So
we figured that out.
I don't know. you know, I don't like, I can't be that person that is just so dumbfounded and so like blown away and so taken away by somebody's name or somebody's energy. Just like I've talked about before,
Yeah.
it's like everybody traded in Jesus for Trump. Now here's my daddy. He's the father figure. Oh, God brought him to us. Jesus saved him. It is all this stuff. It's like, whoa, people. Whoa. Are you guys that insecure that you need this father figure over you all the time?
Sadly, I would say a lot of people are exceptionally very insecure because sadly we've eliminated the role of manhood in the family. We've eliminated the role that strong men traditionally hold within the family. They call it toxic masculinity. Yeah. Yet we are in a sport here with pro motocross where if you don't have quote unquote toxic masculinity, you will die.
Yeah, you're doing the wrong sport.
You're doing the wrong sport.
But the thing is it's kind of like all these sports. You look at basketball. It became very feminine. I mean, the players they don't look the same, man. They look very feminine to me almost. Skinnier, different look and all that. Dude, their ratings are so low right now.
Uh-huh.
So low. Because again, that masculinity and that energy and that battle and that fight and that rawness is what people want to watch. This is why UFC's the biggest right now.
Yeah.
Kinda. Because they're seeing two gladiators go at it.
Yep.
Not two people kind of touch themselves and then come in with this different look and shorter this and making it very feminine. I'm sorry. Right?
Yeah.
And it is not against anybody. It's just people forgot that we have our roles. And we don't need to roll into other people's roles. I don't need to be feminine. There is enough feminine energy, and I love it.
Yep.
You don't need to be masculine, woman. There's enough masculine energy in it. You just have to find the right one, and you have to allow it, accept it, and show up with that other side. You can't be in a relationship and have two feminines and two masculines, so to speak. You got to be able to have those two sides and be able to bring what you're born with, and also accept what that person's born with.
Yep.
And don't mix lines.
Never cross the streams. I learned that in Ghostbusters.
Only if you're drinking tequila. Then you can cross the streams.
All right, well, we cleared Moto 3 right there.
I like that.
And next week, I want to also jump into a little bit of the politics of what's been going on around here, because I think you brought up some very interesting points. So next week, let's hold that one over, and we will talk then. It's the Big 49.
Perfecto. Big 49. Ryan Hughes.